Hey everybody, what's up? You know who it is, you know what it is. Good old patch notes, baby. Excuse my voice if I sound nasally, pollen is kicking my ass, but let's get into it. First off, skins. If you play Sylvanas without playing the skin, you're going to be witch hunted, and I got beef with you. And if you can't afford the skin, please post on Reddit and get somebody to donate you gems. This skin is nuts. Forget the rest of them, who really cares? Obey skin's pretty cool, actually. Kuzumbo Dance is a cool thing. Cutesy Scylla, okay, all that stuff, achievements, blah, blah, blah. Twitch Bob Ross event. So basically, there's a Bob Ross bundle, and you get the Sylvana skin, you get a loading frame, loading screen, blah, blah, blah. Buy this, please. This skin is dope. General balance. So, this is all a bunch of red text to talk about the start of the game. So, I'll let you guys, let me see if I can catch all of this text while I kind of talk. Let's do this once. Alright, so I'll let you guys read that while I talk if you want to see what Hi-Rez wrote. But basically the deal is a lot of people were complaining about the start of games, especially on a competitive level in Conquest, and they were worried that there was just too much emphasis on early game pressure and that you basically were instantly winning games if you just got pressure plus like First Blood or got pressure plus early Gold Fury. If you just maintained that wave pressure and that lane pressure, it was too easy to just win games off of it, off the start of the game alone. And the reason for that is that if you push a wave into an enemy lane and they have to clear under their tower, they're going to be level 1, and you're going to have extra time to go clear, like, small minions on buffs, or to go clear, like, a full buff, and when you do that, you hit level 2, and when you have that level 2 versus level 1 advantage, it makes it so that you cannot protect your own buffs at all, because if you walk into 2 level 2 people as 2 level 1 people, 9 times out of 10, if they play it right, you just die in a competitive game. So, because of that, there is going to be adjustments to early game experience values, and I think it says down here, this will not go live on 4.8. It's just for PTS. It's planning to be released in 4.9 if all goes well. So I strongly encourage everybody to play on PTS and give feedback and to watch streams and see it for themselves, because this alone is a very big deal. You'll basically have to relearn the start of the game, including pro players. Everybody will have to relearn the start of the game. So, the actual change they did is they did not increase minion experience or anything like that. They decreased the amount of experience needed to go from level 1 to level 2, but they increased the amount from 2 to 3 and from 3 to 4. So, I think it's about the same or the same experience to get from level 1 to level 4, but level 1 to level 2 is quicker and the other two are a bit slower. So what that actually means is that if you clear the first wave, you just get level 2, and then you can go invade, but the other team will be able to clear their wave a little bit slower and follow you and also be level 2. So if you commit abilities onto a buff, they have a chance to use their abilities to try to kill you or to try to chase you out, blah, blah, blah. So it makes the early game, in theory, a little more even. Something that I don't like about this change, and I think they could have done better, is this experience value of 225 means that if you two-way split a wave, you hit level 2. What I personally would have liked to see done is if you have like a 2v1 lane, like say you're a soul laner, and you're against the enemy soul lane and jungle, something that would happen is in the previous patch, they would push you under tower and then go take your blue and you're level 1. You can't do anything about it. Then both of them are level 2. But if there was a scenario where they clear the wave and they're still level 1 because they two-way split it, but then you clear under your own tower and hit level 2, maybe you get a chance to go over there and fight them. Of course, they could like do the method that Duo Lane does a lot, which is like taking the little small creeps or whatever, all that stuff, and seeing if they hit level 2 off that. But I think it would allow for, it would just allow for a little more counterplay. The main point I should make about all this, though, is people are saying that this is going to be anti-snowball or all that stuff. I want to make it, like, very, very, very clear. especially for any of those who watch my map video, you'll understand what I'm about to say. This change is going to tweak the way we play the start of the game, and it's going to make it a little bit better, and it's going to make it a little bit fresher. But this will not change Snowball at all. This does not mean you get to pick, I don't know, this doesn't mean you get to pick like Kali Scylla and get away with it in mid and have horrible early clear. This doesn't mean you get to play a mage and soul lane. Like, if you want to be playing, I guess, like the best type of gods or whatever, you are still going to be playing early game gods all the time. In fact, I've heard some people say that they think this change will make it worse potentially, because now you have the chance to clear a wave. If you're like, I don't know, say you're, what's two really good early game gods, like Isis and frickin' Naja or something. Like, say you clear mid lane really quick, quicker than the other 2v2, and you hit level 2 and then you get your Spirit Ball and your Sash available, you can just probably kill somebody because you'll have a full wave there, or like, you know, you'll have part of your wave still alive, but you'll hit level 2 and then you'll be able to CC them. And some are saying that it'll open up a lot of first blood plays and stuff like that. That's why you need to test this on PTS. The more people that play it and give high-res feedback, the better. So I strongly encourage people to go play that. But yeah, in my opinion, this isn't going to stop Snowball. It's not going to stop early game. But I still like the change because it's making us have to relearn the game a little bit. It'll be a little bit fresher, and the main thing is I just appreciate that Hi-Rez is trying to address some issues that the community is talking about or that the pro players are upset with. So a ton of respect to Hi-Rez, and I appreciate them for making this attempt. So go ahead and test it and see if it works out. The other one was Gaultieri Adjustment. So the other part of Snowball was, even if you didn't get First Blood or if you didn't like get a bunch of invades off early game, Gaultieri was snowballing a little too hard. So what they did is they made it harder to kill early, and it's worth 40 gold less at the start of the game, so the base gold is worth 40 less. But they increased the scaling of Gaultieri, so that means later on in the game it'll be worth about the same or even more the later the game goes, and then decreased the bonus health per minute. So basically increased base health, lowered base gold, lowered base health scaling, and increased gold scaling. And then bug fixes, you can kind of see. I don't remember if any of these actually had like big gameplay implications. I guess the inconsistent hitbox on Ganesha Odd is one, but new gods normally have bugs that you have to fix, blah blah blah. This is just like a tooltip thing, another tooltip thing. Yeah, I think that's it. Just like general bug fixes. No like actual gameplay implication. Alright, first item change. Emperor's Armor increased physical protection from 30 to 40. And passive allied attack speed buff from 30 to 40%. So I actually like this change a lot. I'm a fan of Emperor's Armor. I know that I think Raffer is probably the person who's most famous for buying it. Last fall, I messed with buying it a little bit when I was on Envy. I used to buy it in, I bought it in our relegation games a few times, and I think I bought it in the online split like 3 or 4 times. I can't speak English right now, but yeah, it's a pretty cool item. I think that this does help it a lot. I think I mentioned this in the 4.7 patch notes review. Anytime you have a niche item or anytime you have a super situational item, it's a good idea to buff it to the point where you're rewarded for going that situational item. You don't want to have a situational item where you can buy it and it makes a lot of sense in that situation to like counter a certain thing, but the stats are just so shitty on it that it's still not good. So buffing Emperor's Armor a little bit is pretty cool. I think that this could help tower defense. So what it means by the passive allied attack speed on towers is that if you're defending your own like tier 2 tower or something, if you have Emperor's Armor and you're within a certain range of that tower, it'll shoot faster, so enemies will take more damage over time because it ramps up more and more and more. Tower damage increases exponentially. So because of that, maybe it helps you if you got behind early game and you're down like 5k and you need to make a stand on a tier 2 tower, maybe it's a good idea to pick an item like this up. So I like the idea behind it, and I'm pretty excited to play with that change. Fatalis is probably pretty shit now, thank God. Increase the cost from 2300 to 2600, and then attack speed from 20 to 25%. I'm very happy with this change. I think Fatalis is one of the most annoying items in the game. It is kind of just like I don't mean to be offensive by this, but it's kind of just like a noob hand holder because it doesn't really promote any counterplay or anything. It just promotes people holding down left click as long as they can and just pretty much being able to have full movement speed and just chase down anyone. And it's just like a really annoying play. It doesn't punish people for poor positioning. And I think anytime you have an item like that, on a hunter especially, it's just a bad idea. It also allows assassins to be a little more cheesy if they buy it. So if it were up to me, I would just remove the Fatalis effect from the game completely. But what they're doing is making it more of a luxury item, which I can be down for that. Because after all, it is like a pretty fun item to use. I just don't want it to be like auto build and hunter builds. Shogun's Kasari change. This is a pretty big change, or a pretty big change for support players. So they decrease the cost from 2,400 to 2,200. Because of that, they also decrease the magical protections by 10. 10 magical prot is worth more than 200 gold for sure. So that doesn't really go even, but the attack speed aura increase from 15 to 25% is pretty fucking crazy. In my opinion, I thought Shogun's Kasari was the most underrated item of Season 4, the entire spring split. I said that multiple times. I don't know why people weren't picking it up more. The triple aura build with Heartward, Sovereignty, Thebes is very, very strong. But I think if you're playing comps, like especially with like a Fafnir where you have your steroid to help siege down objectives in tower, Shogun's Kasari just fits into that so well. And with the buff, I think you'll see it a lot more. In my opinion, this item probably becomes better than like... In my opinion, I'd probably rather buy this than Heartward now if it was up to me. Like, if I don't think the enemy team has too much magical damage, I don't think that I'll be missing out on that aura that much. I maybe would rather have Shogun's Kasari. But same thing as Emperor's Armor. It was kind of a situational item. A lot of support players, especially pro support players, were getting tired of building triple aura every game and not having any variety in their build. So this change will help address that. So I like that overall. Moving on, we have God changes. So Ares has... God, I sound so nasally. Increase the base protection from 17 to 20. So he's a little bit tankier early game. I like that they're making these little minor tweaks to Ares, especially if you notice what they've done to Ares the last two patches. They've made it so that his minion damage with his chains is higher, so that he can help like clear a little bit better in Conquest, but that doesn't affect his like power level in other game modes like Arena. And this thing is kind of the same deal. He has a little more protections, but you're not going to notice 3 protections at like level 15 in Arena, for example. So people who play more casual game modes where Ares dominates won't have to complain about him, but he still gets addressed for Conquest, so I like that a lot. Kronos. So Kronos is going to be looking pretty scary. He's been getting a lot of buffs, obviously, to compensate for the fact that at the start of Season 4, the Fatalis effect was removed from his 2 ability. So now they have made Stop Time have more base damage, so this is 20 damage per rank increase, so 40 to 50, and then it ticks twice, so it'll be, an extra 20 damage, blah, blah, blah. Rewind, this is the big one. Decreasing an alt cooldown, like Rewind, by 20 seconds at the first rank is really, really good. In previous versions of Kronos, where it was that 120 seconds, I believe that was the longest base alt cooldown in the game, if not one of. Then maybe a couple were tied at 120, but now you are incentivized to just leave this all at rank 1. I think you're supposed to leave it at rank 1 anyways, but some people didn't feel comfortable with a 120 second base cooldown alt, and they would want to get it closer to that 80, so they would put points into it. But all these little quality of life changes for Kronos and some other item buffs that help him out too are going to make him pretty good. He was actually played on land by Zeros, and I believe he won with it. It did pretty well. So yeah, maybe you'll see Kronos be experimented with a little bit more. This god is not bad at all, so I would definitely recommend trying him out. Izanami, Fade Away, decreased mana cost from 90 to 70 to 70 at all ranks, so a little bit more mana efficient early game for Izanami. Just a little quality of life change. I like that. Jingwei, I fucking hate this character. Agility, adjusted cooldown, that's her dash by the way, adjusted cooldown from 20 to 16 seconds to 18 to 16 seconds, so it's a little bit better or a little bit shorter cooldown at early ranks. Now provides 10 to 30 physical power and 20% movement speed on use, this effect is increased to 20 to 40 physical power and 30% speed when used while in the air. So what that means is, if you're standing on the ground auto-attacking, and you dash at somebody, you gain this amount of power and 20% movement speed. If you dash while you're, like, knocked up by your own wing gust, or if you dash while you're knocked up by, like, a Sobek pluck or something like that, you gain even more power and even more movement speed. I absolutely hate this change because I hate Jingwei's kit. She's just, like, such an annoying character to have be good because she has more self-peel, more mobility than any other hunter, and her passive is so annoying to deal with. I think you'll see a lot more Jingwei because of this change. She wasn't really a bad character in her old version. It was just that she wasn't the best early game, but now that you hit level 2 off a wave in the PTS, Jingwei has potential to be good again, and I hate it when Jingwei is good. That's pretty much my analysis. She's a cool god, but her passive just makes her annoying, for clarification. Hikakin Whirlwind decreased mana cost from 70 to 110 to 70 to 90. This is like the second or third time Hikakin has had mana changes on his Tornado. And I think this may be the final one that actually helps him out a lot. I still don't think he's the best mage in the game. But for people who enjoy, or not even close to the best mage in the game, but for people who enjoy playing Hikakin, this little mana buff helps him early game. It lets him spam a little bit more and clear camps a little bit more leniently without having to worry about his mana pool so much. So that's a pretty good quality of life change. Rosanna was pretty fucking broken with his 50% damage reduction base on his ult. They moved it down to 40%. I still don't think that's enough. I think 40% damage reduction is still insane, especially at level 5. I mean, we nerfed Shell at the start of Season 4 for the same reason, right? Like, early game damage reduction was just too OP, but now this character has 40% at level 5. It just, I don't know, seems a little inconsistent to me, but anyways, they also reduced the 3 damage on Ravana 120 to 100 for the rank 1, and then it's the same value later in the game. So this just means that his level 1 clear with his 3, which is his root ability, is a little bit toned down, which is nice because Ravana was just getting free pressure and like building Sunder, and then ulting you and being unkillable with 50% damage reduction, and then just 3-1ing you and you were dead. So I like that they adjusted Ravana. I don't know if this will be quite enough. I think he's still probably fine, but small adjustments do hurt him a little bit. Surkhet, same sort of thing. Her bonus damage from 2 poisons goes from 15 to 10%, so if you 2-1 a target as Surkhet and then auto-attack them, it'll only do 10% of the target's maximum health instead of 15, so just a really slight nerf. But the full combo with your ultimate included with the 3 poisons is still going to be the same value that it used to be. And then last breath adjustment. This is a slight nerf, but it was kind of just cleaning up numbers. You can see it does 6 more damage in the late game, and it does 18 less damage in the early game. So you do have a little bit of a curve in her early game damage, but 18 damage isn't that big of a deal. It cleans up the tooltip a little bit and is a minor adjustment to Surkhet, so I like it. Sun Wukong increased physical power scaling from 50 to 60% on his 1, increased physical power scaling from 50 to 65% on his 2. I like that Wukong's getting a little adjustment here and there. I don't know if this makes him all that much better in Soul Lane, because when you have scaling changes, it's not like you're building a ton of power on warriors. Oftentimes, the only power you get on warriors at all is from your boots, or maybe like a starter item from Bluestone and stuff. I'm not a Soul Laner, so it's hard to tell you how much this actually matters. I think little tweaks like this to Wukong are good. I'm sure you will see him be played a little bit more just because of this, but I don't know if it moves him into the top tier of Soul Laners. It probably moves him into like a mid-tier level. Moving on to Terra. Thank God they finally did this change. Decrease the movement speed buff from 30 to 20%. I would have probably nerfed it even harder. I just think having global movement speed is a pretty insane stat. Terra was being played a lot. She still will be played a good bit, I think, but at least she doesn't allow her entire team to be uncatchable. So that's the end of the patch notes, guys. I hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for sticking through me even when Pollen is kicking my ass. Where is this? I would highly, highly, highly recommend, again, I can't stress it enough, please go on PTS and test all of this stuff. Test the early game, see what you can get away with, see what you can break, just have some fun with it, and give Hi-Rez your feedback. It is very, very needed. So with that being said, I'm going to go. Hope everybody has a nice day, and I'll see you next time.